Welcome back to part two of Sony's EV vehicle. You heard me right, Sony's EV vehicle. If you haven't seen part one yet, I don't recommend you go check that out as well. But in the last video, we were talking about how this is such a cool concept that, Sony, the one who makes game consoles, TVs, cameras, all this kind of stuff, now has come out with an EV. And this is actually a really exciting time for this because there's a lot of EVs that are coming out. Now, if you're like me and you hear the words Sony's EV vehicle, you're probably thinking in your mind, like, is this everything that we dreamed of? Well, it's everything we dreamed of and more. So let's just hop right into it because this thing is really nice. Now, so this is what the SUV side of it looks like. So let me bring up something that I know this could be me nitpicking, but I don't like the rims on it. I'm gonna be honest, I don't like these rims. Like every time I've seen EVs with these type of rims, whether it be Teslas or whatever, that's the one thing that's always bothered me, is that they've had those rims. Now the rest of it looks really nice. I like the sleek view of the front, the sides, and everything. It looks really sleek. I like the way it looks right now. It looks really nice. So it says an SUV creating the value of rich mobility, dynamically transforming the value of mobility space according to people's active lifestyles. Vision S envelops occupants with a thrilling experience. Now they do have a concept video. I'm not gonna share it with you guys because I don't want to get copyright claimed or whatnot. But I would highly recommend you guys go back and you check on this. I'll make sure I put a link to this in the description below. But let's talk about the exterior. So the exterior looks actually really cool. Besides the rims, obviously, you guys already know I don't like those rims. But I like, kind of like the coupe. It has that futuristic look, but still stays within that modern kind of style that it will fit in with this modern time that we're in. I like the moon. I like that the moonroof is like all you can see everything from this moonroof, and I think it's really nice and classy. It has that same dash that the coupe has, which I think is amazing. I'm excited for that. Like that in itself is a seller to me. Like I just think the whole concept of having a whole dash that's digital is so cool. I love that so much. And honestly, when it comes down to it, like what's not to love about this? I'm gonna go back a little on this. I could adjust and tolerate the rims after some time, but if it was up to me, I would probably put the same rims that were on the coupe on the SUV. But that's just me. But going down, so this SUV looks really great. Like I love the sleek design they have of it. It's really nice. The headlights look really amazing. I like the LEDs that they have in the headlights. Man, the car looks really all right. So, ooh, that interior! Wow. Actually, I really do like this interior. The seats look comfortable, and there's that digital dash that I was talking about. Man, this thing is gonna be. This might end up being the Tesla killer. Like I'm gonna be honest. Like this might be the Tesla killer. Some people may disagree with me. If that's you, what? Tell me your thoughts on this thus far. Do you think this will destroy other EVs that are coming out, or will this be in a class of its own? So make sure you tell me in the comments below, because I would like to hear your insights. And there is one thing that I do like about this that I didn't mention on the second one, and that is that if you're like, let's say like you're watching this in Japan, well, you can switch this and it will go to Japanese font, and I think that's cool. I like that. Sony's always good about being inclusive to everybody. But yeah, this is such a cool thing to even showcase. Like the fact that Sony's coming out with an EV is amazing. But going back to it, let's talk about this interior a little. I like that I can already kind of get a feeling of what that steering wheel will feel like. And I love that. I'm a very visual person. Full disclosure, the steering wheel in my Corolla, I mentioned this in the last, part one. I drive a Toyota Corolla right now. And honestly, like I love the car to pieces. It's my first car I've ever bought, but the steering wheel has some wear and tear. Now, This steering wheel is probably gonna have some wear and tear after a while too. Like that's just kind of how cars are. But I do like the feel of how open and inviting this is. And honestly, going back to that dash, knowing that like you can play your PS5 on it, or you can watch videos, you can control so many things. Even has a screensaver, and right there, that's a screensaver of the beach. Like, who doesn't like the beach? But man, this is so nice. And see, you know how I mentioned, I'm gonna bring this full circle real quick. You know how I mentioned in that last video, how we've all been there in those situations where you're driving on a road trip, and all you have is like your phone, and if you're lucky, you're in like a Honda Odyssey that has like the little TV thing that pops down that you can watch. But a lot of us, we didn't have that capability, so we either had to rely on phones, or on tablets, or on like laptop computers, or just like an MP3 player. There's so much. But with this, as you can see, it has those monitors, those screens on it, so you could easily hook up your PS5. You could be like, playing some Ghost of Tsushima. You could be playing, oh man, there's so many different games. You could be playing Spider-Man 2. Like, I mean, Spider-Man 2 is owned by Sony. Like, what better time to be playing Spider-Man 2 than in a Sony car? This is it's so cool. I love this, and I love that dash. I think it's so nice. The thing just looks gorgeous. I mean, and wow, and it has so much. This really is going to be the Tesla killer. And I stand by that, because Tesla, they have their own SUV, but I like that this one has so much room, and it can sit up to at least 6 people, more if needed, because you have the middle seat, which I always hated as a kid, being in the middle. But I love how open this is and how roomy it is. I love that so much. Man, that's so cool. I'm excited for this. So you got the cup holders, and it shows you the aerial view of what it's going to look like, which is really cool. So let's look at the specs. This thing, I was wrong. It can fit up to 7 people. Again, because of that middle seat in the middle of the back. The weight is 5,467 pounds. The VMAX is more than 112 miles per hour, which is really cool. Again, there's that all-wheel drive, because as I mentioned, here in Utah, man, winters can be brutal here in Utah. I'm not saying that to get anyone to stay away from Utah. Utah is great. I love the state of Utah. It's fun, it's informative, and there's a lot of possibilities here in Utah. But having that all-wheel drive is something that's kind of a necessity here in Utah, especially in the wintertime. And I love the fact that they talk about the power, both front and rear. And here's the specs and the concept of like what it looks like. The wheelbase and the length, the width, the height. I like how high it is. I also like the width of how, again, if you know me, and if you haven't watched that first video, make sure you go back and watch it. But that's one thing that I get really annoyed with cars, is how some of them are very wide. Like, there's some EVs, not even just EVs, just vehicles in general, that are made nowadays that they're really wide, and I don't like that. I mean, I want to be able to make sure that I'm protected and those who are in the car with me are protected, but I don't want to feel like I'm driving some granny car. Like, I'm just throwing that out there. Like, I don't want to be feeling like I'm in a granny mobile. So, but going back to it, this, I wouldn't feel like that. Now, I would feel pretty cool if I was driving around in this, and yeah, I would definitely be tempted to buy this. But let's look at the safety, because honestly, safety is the most important part about anything. All right, even greater safety and comfort through consistent direction, both inside and out of the vehicle. And so it talks about the same things as it did in the coupe. It has Sony safety cocoon concept addresses safety and security, which is critical for enabling the advancement in the autonomous driving in the near future, with sensing technology that surpasses human vision, which is very important because there's a lot of distracted drivers today. in this day and age. Excuse me. And again, I love the fact that it has that 360-degree view of the vehicle's surroundings, which is going to be very helpful to a lot of people because, again, there's a lot of distracted drivers in this day and age. And I love the fact that, we have the oval sensing, the driving assistance, the advanced camera monitoring system, and the in-cabin, monitoring system. So the oval sensing system, as with, it kind of goes over what it did with the coupe, but let's go over it again. A total of 40 sensors, mainly Sony's in-vehicle CMOS image sensors, are installed inside and outside of the vehicle to continuously monitor safety while driving. The system also helps reduce passenger stress, as well as aiding eco-friendly driving, which I really like that, the eco-friendly driving, because in my current job that I've been working at, we had this van that, like, when we'd stop at a stoplight, it would just go into eco mode and it would feel like it just died. And I was like, what's wrong with this van? And then I had to go talk with some coworkers. All right, oh, it's because it's an eco van and it does that. So it doesn't really, have those idling fumes that a lot of vehicles have. But going back to it, I love the fact that it has the eco-friendly driving. And then here's that sensors for the parking, the 360 degrees, the camera, the LiDAR, the radar, and the ultrasonic sensor motor surround environment, which I think is so cool. I love this concept that they have, has over 40 sensors. I mean, this thing is just jam-packed with user safety. Like it has so many capabilities. I love the fact that the sensors are capable of high speeds over 300 meters, and I think that's really amazing. The sensors for the parking is, again, 360. But I want to look at the highest sensitivity because this is something that a lot of people need. Me, for example, so at night, I have to wear glasses when I'm driving because of I have a scar on both eyes that's really close to my pupil. It happened at a previous job, but because of that, things get a little blurry sometimes when I drive at night, so I always have to wear glasses. You guys have seen those glasses before. I did it in the What's My Camera Bag video. Put an iCard somewhere up there for you guys to check that out. But I want to go through this real quickly because it says high sensitivity. Through high sensitivity that recognizes the color and shape of objects in low-lit environments, such as nighttime, it is possible to acquire high quality data during nighttime driving on dark roads, which I don't know if you guys have ever seen. I'm going to bring this full circle real quick. You guys ever seen those Geico commercials where, like, it just shows people, someone driving down the road, and it just shows, like, Richard Simmons or, like, a deer or someone just in the headlights, and they just, like, veer off and they get into a car accident? That's basically what it's like sometimes here in Utah, especially if you're driving through the Rocky Mountains, because especially if you're driving in the middle of, like, a snowstorm, which I don't recommend because there's a lot of crazy distracted drivers out there. But I love the fact that it has that high sensitivity, because that's something that's very key. And then going on to the high dynamic range, the HDR, you can obtain information with less overexposure, and underexposure, which is really good, even in scenes with large differences in brightness, for example, such as backlight and tunnel entrances and exits. Here in Utah, we have a lot of national parks down in southern Utah. We have Zions, we have Arches, and a lot of those, they have tunnels. And because of those tunnels, it get kind of dark, and you go from, like, being really dark to being really bright all of a sudden, because that's just how southern Utah is. Anyone who's been to southern Utah, you can attest, and make sure you tell me in the comments below if you know what I'm talking about, or if you know what I'm talking about anywhere you live. Like, this could happen in New Zealand, this could happen in Australia, this could happen back east, like in Pennsylvania. This happens in a lot of different places, and I love the fact that they have that HDR, which is so important, because, like, I love the HDR on my DSLR. I use it quite a bit, but I also love the LED flicker mitigation. Flicker that occurs when capturing traffic lights and signs using LED light sources is mitigated, thus enabling highly accurate acquisition of information. And I think that's really important, because there's a lot of times when people they have a hard time, especially here in Utah. I'm not sure how it is where you guys live, wherever you're watching this from. But here in Utah, there's a lot of times when people, especially at night, they have a hard time reading, like they have a hard time seeing like if it's green or if it's red, especially in the middle of like a midsummer day. It can get pretty bright outside. So it's nice to have that LED mitigation. That's something that's a very vital, important part to this. And so let's go on to the driving assistance. So the network of sensors throughout the car enables a 360-degree recognition of traffic conditions. The sensors provide precise driving assistance such as an advanced cruise control, self-parking, and auto lane change functions. This corresponds with the level 2 plus driver assistance, which is very helpful. I've never had that, and I look forward to being able to have that in cars in the future. It not only enables safe, secure driving, but also allows energy-efficient driving and stress reduction. I mean, that right there that's a seller point right there for me. Allows energy-efficient driving and stress reduction. Because I don't know about you guys, there's a lot of times when I'm driving, especially like if I'm on a road trip, and I can get sometimes a little stressed out, if someone's either riding my tail or I'm under, a strict time slot to get somewhere. Knowing that this can help reduce that stress reduction I cannot even begin to tell you how that will be helpful. It says software updates allow for continual performance upgrades and aim for ultimately achieving level 4 or higher self-driving in the future, which is something I know that a lot of people are against. Like, I was against it for the longest time too. I didn't know how I really felt about a self-driving car. In the early 2000s, they kind of took jabs at us like, oh, well, by the year 2034, we're going to have self-driving cars. And obviously, Tesla is the one that really kind of paved the way for that. Now, does that mean that if you have a self-driving car, you should take a nap? Probably not. You should probably still stay awake and stay alert, because it is a machine after all. It's not a human being, and so it does make mistakes. And I've seen a lot of people talk about those kind of mistakes on Teslas, on the Cybertrucks, on everything that has the self-driving. I've heard people talk about that and kind of criticize it. So hopefully Sony has this kind of narrowed down and improved better than Tesla and other companies do. So again, it talks about the highway assist, enables follow front vehicles for safety distance, keep new lane under construction situation to recognize operational area, safe overtake after passing backward vehicle under complicated situation. And here's what we all like: the automated valet parking. Like, I cannot tell you, how many times I've wished I had this, because there's a lot of times like when I go to like an event and maybe I can only find 1 or 2 parking spaces. And even in my Toyota Corolla, it's still a little tight it's still a little bit of a tight squeeze in parking, because sometimes people park right next to the line, or they kind of park over the line. And so I have to park a little over the next line. You get what I mean. But I like this, that they have the automated valet park. Recognize counter vehicle and wait until the vehicle is passed based on the map information and real-time recognition. Find appropriate parking space under confirming no closing obstacles. And I think that that's so great, because this is going to be very helpful in the future. Well, I guess I should say not the future, now, because there's a lot of times when people don't they don't estimate like how many people are going to be there. And I like how they even show the different types of parking. People that park crooked, people that park like really close to the line. Knowing that you're going to have this automated valet parking is something that's going to be so cool. And I love the fact that it has this capability, just like the coupe. Now, does that mean I'm going to park right next to someone if I'm in this vehicle? Probably not. If I have my choice of options, I will probably park somewhere further away from people, because I do not like having people ding my doors with their cars. And I can tell you a whole lot of horror stories on that, but that's for a different time, and that's not even going to be part of this channel. Maybe I will tell it in the future. But going back to it, the lane change proposal. We've talked about this with the coupe. I like the fact that the system consistently monitors the surroundings and provides the driver with easy to understand suggestions on when it is safe to change lanes, which I think is very helpful because there's a lot of times, I'm going to bring this full circle. There's been a lot of times when I've been driving, especially like if I'm driving like a big work van or something, where people have cut me off because they were in a right turn only and they needed to go straight, or they were in a left turn only and they needed to go straight, or they were going straight but they realized they needed to turn right and I was in the right hand lane. Knowing that this is the part of the capability is so cool. I love this so much. And like I said, guys, in that next part to this, we're going to be really starting to break this stuff down into brass tacks. Honestly, like there's so much about this. I love the fact that, you know, it has the same camera monitoring system as the coupe. Instead of the conventional physical mirror, the vehicle is equipped with a digital mirror, which combines a camera and display. The aim is to create a next-gen safety system that is easier to see than a physical mirror. Using Sony unique sensing technology and highly visible, high brightness and high resolution monitors, as well as HDRs and other signal processing techniques. I mean, this thing just looks gorgeous. Like, it looks really nice. This is going to be a luxury car. It's probably going to be expensive too. But guys, honestly, you know, here's the decision aid system that we were just talking about. It'll give you a heads up when you're good to change or when a car is coming through on your side. And I think that this is something that's very important to have, especially in today's driving, because I don't know about you guys, but here in the state of Utah, after COVID, after people were able to come out of their house and start going back to work, I feel like COVID kind of brought up the worst in people's driving because they don't really know how to drive now. And knowing that you have this to help you with your lane assisting and changing lanes is going to be very helpful. But honestly, guys, this is so cool. You know, it has that in-cabin monitoring. We'll just go over this real quick. And it says, inside the cabin, the TOF camera sensing monitor sensors the monitor. Gosh, I can't even read all of a sudden. Inside the cabin, TOF camera sensors monitor the condition of the vehicle occupants. Facial expressions and gestures are used to determine the driver's level of concentration and fatigue, and alerts are issued when necessary. In addition, the lip reading system, which is currently undergoing research and development in conjunction along with the driver monitoring camera, reliability captures the driver's speech intentions, even in noisy situations, which is really cool. I like that feature. Reflecting them into the content display and navigation system operation. In addition to safety and comfort, the system also aims to adjust the temperature inside the vehicle by inferring the condition of the occupants based on their behavior read from the TOF sensor. Guys, honestly, there is so much about this, and that's why I'm going to do this into a 4-part series. You know, in the next one, we're going to really just be breaking down a few of these things, and then the next one, and then the one after that, we'll break down the rest, just to help you guys understand what these all mean, because I know there's a lot of technical terms on this. But on that note, I will see you in the next video.